The absolute most terrifying way to die isn't being buried alive. It is walking outside on a beautiful, perfectly sunny afternoon, and suddenly, violently falling upward into the infinite blue sky. You frantically flail your arms, aggressively gripping the heavy steel pole of a street lamp. You are dangling upside down. The comforting sky above you has instantly transformed into a terrifying, bottomless, inescapable blue abyss. You look down at the street. Hundreds of innocent, terrified people who couldn't grab onto anything in time are screaming as they plummet rapidly away from the earth, quickly shrinking into microscopic dots against the clouds. Gravity is the fundamental glue of our reality. When it violently reverses, everything unsecured becomes an immediate, hypervelocity projectile. Massive vehicles, park benches, and loose asphalt violently rip off the ground, rocketing straight into the stratosphere. As you desperately cling to the freezing metal pole, your biology violently betrays you. The human cardiovascular system evolved to pump blood against gravity. Now, it aggressively forces massive, fatal amounts of blood directly into your brain. You look out across the sprawling, chaotic city skyline. The towering concrete buildings are groaning under the immense, impossible pressure. Trillions of tons of dirt, cars, and loose debris are raining entirely upward, completely reversing the natural order. If you were lucky enough to be indoors when the glitch occurred, your immediate fate is slightly different. You are violently, aggressively slammed into the plaster ceiling of your room, instantly crushed alongside your heavy furniture and appliances. But being indoors is only a temporary, horrifying stay of execution. Modern architecture is designed entirely to push weight securely down into the bedrock. It is absolutely not designed to be violently pulled up by the roots. The sheer, overwhelming kinetic stress causes the foundations of the entire city to catastrophically fail. Entire skyscrapers violently snap off their concrete bases, tearing out of the ground and floating into the atmosphere like colossal, terrifying, crumbling rockets. Your frail, exhausted fingers are bleeding from the sheer, agonizing friction of holding your entire body weight. You know with absolute, horrifying certainty that your physical strength will inevitably fail, and you will fall endlessly into the void. But the most apocalyptic destruction is happening off the coast. Without gravity to hold them securely in the deep basins, the massive global oceans violently erupt. Colossal, towering pillars of salt water rapidly rip away from the ocean floor. The seas completely peel off the crust. Massive commercial cargo ships, entire coral reefs, and millions of terrified marine animals are forcefully carried upward inside colossal, floating, chaotic spheres of displaced ocean water, tumbling violently toward outer space. As the catastrophic physics glitch continues, the true, ultimate executioner arrives. Earth's gravity is the only force keeping our breathable atmosphere from escaping into the vacuum. The comforting blue sky begins to physically warp and rapidly thin out. The air is forcefully, aggressively dragged out into the dark cosmos. The atmospheric pressure violently drops. Anyone still clinging to debris begins to clutch their throats, suffocating helplessly as the breathable oxygen is rapidly deleted from the planet. Your vision heavily blurs as your own burning lungs completely fail to pull in oxygen. You watch a terrified bird attempt to fly, but there is absolutely no thick air left for its wings to catch. It falls upward. The planetary structural integrity completely collapses. Without the immense, stabilizing weight of the oceans and the crushing force of gravity pressing down, the Earth's delicate, rocky crust aggressively shatters like a fragile, hollow eggshell. Unimaginable, terrifying quantities of bright orange, superheated liquid magma aggressively, violently vent upward from the deep mantle. The core of the Earth bleeds out, shooting colossal, apocalyptic volcanic lasers directly into the rapidly freezing upper stratosphere. Your bleeding, exhausted fingers finally, inevitably, slip. Your grip breaks. You are instantly, violently ripped away from the heavy street lamp, plummeting at terminal velocity directly upward toward the terrifying, suffocating black void of deep space. You fall endlessly. You violently tear past massive, floating chunks of frozen skyscrapers, colossal, perfectly spherical drops of solid ocean ice, and the terrifying frozen bodies of millions of people who lost their grip long before you did. You manage to turn your head and look back down at the Earth. It is completely gone. It is no longer a solid, beautiful blue planet. It is a massive, violently expanding, chaotic cloud of shattered rock and floating magma. As you violently cross the threshold into the exosphere, your physical body rapidly, agonizingly freezes. Your skin instantly turns a sickly pale blue with severe frostbite as the ambient temperature aggressively drops to absolute, terrifying zero. Your vision rapidly closes into a tiny, terrifying dark tunnel. The complete lack of oxygen, the reversed blood flow, and the crushing, absolute extreme cold of the void are finally, mercifully forcing your brain to completely shut down. The fundamental glue of the universe has completely dissolved. The Earth did not just die, it was completely unmade. The massive, chaotic debris field of the shattered planet violently expands outward into the cold, uncaring dark of the solar system. The Moon, completely and entirely unaffected by the localized planetary gravity glitch, continues its cold, silent orbit. It floats blindly past the massive, expanding, chaotic graveyard of human civilization, entirely indifferent to our complete extinction. Everything you ever loved, every mountain you climbed, and every ocean you swam in relied entirely on a mathematical constant that you completely took for granted. The universe is incredibly fragile, held together by completely invisible, delicate strings. When those invisible strings violently snap, the entire illusion of reality violently shatters. We are not safe. We are entirely at the mercy of the physics engine that generates our world. And physics can always glitch. The catastrophic destruction of Earth creates a massive, deadly shotgun blast of heavy kinetic debris. The fragments of our shattered world violently cross into the orbits of Mars and Venus, threatening to completely destabilize the local solar system. In the end, you do not find a peaceful afterlife. You simply become another frozen, microscopic piece of debris, floating silently, endlessly, and completely alone across the vast, terrifyingly empty black void of the infinite cosmos. Simulation result. Down is a completely fabricated illusion. Without gravity, there is absolutely nowhere left to stand. Simulation concluding. End of log.